This is about the Sustainable Development Technology Canada Board, and it's a kerfluffle. Check it out.
When like I stated, sir, I joined the board 2 weeks prior to the second COVID vote, I believe. And I had declared all my conflicts, and we had received legal.
I understand that. So you weren't aware that other board members were receiving money. In her case, one of her companies was getting 10%, not the 5% that Annette Vershaerian said.
Oh, don't worry. We have Annette Vershaerian. She's coming back, even though she's left the board from giving donations away and all this media coverage. So here's the rest of the clip from MP Perkins. You're not hearing about this in the news. I don't know why. I guess because it's a green fund and everything green is holy. Check this out. Perkins up.
About $4.5 million before you on the board from SDTC. Is that correct?
I honestly don't know. I'll have to take you at your word, sir. Like I said, I made that investment 5 years before I even joined the board, and it's such a small investment on my part. I don't track it. I don't I don't follow it regularly, and I hope the company succeeds, as I'm sure every Canadian would, considering SDTC.
What's your interest in Intelligent City Inc.?
I have no personal interest in it whatsoever. I'm a senior advisor to a small mid-level investment bank in Vancouver called Fort Capital. And Fort Capital, prior to my joining Fort and prior to my joining the board, raised money for Intelligent City. So I felt the need to declare it because the firm I was attached to had previously raised capital for them.
So while you were on the board and some of the other board members on the special COVID committee, were you aware that when you were voting for the COVID relief money, that your fellow board member, her companies that she has a private equity venture capital interest in, received $1.4 million in COVID relief?
I was not presented when I, like I stated, sir, I joined the board 2 weeks prior to the second COVID vote, I believe. And I had declared all my conflicts, and we had received legal.
I understand that. So you weren't aware that other board members were receiving money. In her case, one of her companies was getting 10%, not the 5% that Annette Vershaerian said.
I can't speak to those facts, sir. I have no knowledge.
At Vershaerian's companies were receiving almost $300,000 in COVID relief payments, the chair of the board, when she moved the motion.
Again, sir, I can't speak to those facts. I'll have to take your word for it.
So you were totally unaware of anyone else's conflict of interest when they were voting for money for their own companies?
On the second board vote, we were advised by lawyers that we did not have to redeclare. So considering I was not at the first board vote, I would not have had knowledge of that.
I think under the ICD rules of real and perceived conflicts of interest that you were in a conflict of interest when you joined the board because you had an investment in companies that had already had a relationship with SDTC?
When I joined the board, sir, I was asked to resign from the board of one company that had received funding, and I promptly did that. And then on February 5th, when I joined the board, I declared 5 conflicts, 3 of which I had investments in. Yes, sir.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Perkins.
Thank you very much.
If you thought that was revealing, wait till you see MP Barrett's revelations that he finds out. Seems to be a story that too many scandals. Check this out.
Taxpayer money from SDTC.
One.
Did you vote to give your own companies taxpayer money?
Well, to begin with, I don't have a company. I am not a company owner.
Precision then, sir. How many companies that you have an interest in have received money from SDTC?
I'll repeat my response.
I'll repeat one company.
To give these companies that you have an interest in taxpayer money.
Si vous avez bien compris la logistique de la...
Well, if you understood how the COVID payments worked, the answer is yes, because the conflict of interest were managed.
So let me lay this out. One of the companies that you have an interest in is called Lithion. Is that correct?
Oui.
Okay. And you answered yes. I'm not sure if that was audible. We heard about how rigorous the the conflict of interest rules have been followed at the company, and I want to go over that with you. In front of me, I have meeting minutes from the Monday, March 23rd, 2020 meeting, where a COVID payment for Lithion of $192,100 was paid, and one for, and you've agreed yes, and Tuesday, March 9th, 2021, where that company you have an interest in received $201,705. So one payment of $192,000, one payment of $201,000. You voted to award that to both of those companies. Now, in attendance at both of those meetings, your name is listed. Were you in attendance at those meetings, sir? Just a yes or no?
Oui.
Yes.
I see that noted on the minutes are regrets. You're not included in regrets. I'm going to turn the document over, and it says that the decision was unanimous on that item. And the same is true for that was on the 2020 item. The same is true for 2021. So it's unanimous. There's no indication that there was a recusal made. And in further items, it goes on to actually detail when someone leaves the room. So it talks about how the CEO left for an in-camera item, which, of course, we can infer from that you didn't leave the room for the decision on the COVID payments. Is that correct?
Oui.
So
Yes.
in both cases to award the money to the company that you have an interest in. Is that right?
Oui.
Yes.
Do you see how it could be perceived as a problem for taxpayers that you're there as a government appointee and then you vote to give a company that you have an interest in hundreds of thousands of dollars? Do you see how that's a problem?
Je peux répondre.
May I answer? The problem was identified in advance because, as I've said, we had a situation where there was $20 million for emergency COVID support, and a program was set up for universal support. We all declared conflicts of interest, or not everyone, but not all directors are in conflict of interest all the time. I don't want to give that impression. So immediately management was asked how to administer this program, and the decision was made to add 5% to their existing investment, and we followed the legal opinion.
Was a percentage amount, but sir, there's no way that reasonable people would find that these are reasonable actions. It's unbelievable that we have hundreds of thousands of dollars being paid. The money is being. We have a government appointee taking taxpayer dollars and then giving it to their own company that they have an interest in because other people who are also implicated, like the chair of the board, have said, this kind of behavior is okay. To say that this is a company or an organization that has rigorous ethical standards that have been followed is absolutely egregious. We saw in the report that the government commissioned that the ethics advisor advised people to backdate their ethics filings. Sir, this is not just problematic. This kind of insider dealing and corruption is very problematic for Canadians. And sir, we'll have more questions about that. I think I'm out of time.
You are indeed, Mr. Barrett. I'll